I think it should be good if you can see the manage a bit differently. So again, welcome back. So this slide is familiar to several of you. Some of you may not have seen that. How many of you, just to give me an idea, is your first packaging class? Good, perfect. This is the best class. So good. So we'll have a few things that you'll see for the first time. You will see them again if you take principles of packaging later. But this is important to cover this a little bit so everybody knows a few of the basic things about packaging. These are the four main packaging functions. Okay, very important. So first of all, you have to contain your product. Okay, you also have to protect and preserve it. Okay, it has to also plays a role in transport, inform, and sell. The fifth one that can be added sometimes is the end of life cycle. Basically, that nowadays sustainability, carbon footprint, and so on are very important concepts. And when you design a packaging system, this becomes a part of it in a way. You need to think about it as well in the process. So, in principles of packaging, we spend a lot of time on content and preserve a lot of it because preserve has to do a lot, if you remember, with chemical changes, okay, biological changes due to the nature of the product, or also to contaminants such as bacteria and so on, fungi and so on. So preserve is related a lot to, you can say, medical, a little bit, but pharmaceutical, food product, okay? And back in that class, in principles of packaging, I told you that protect function has to do a lot with mechanical damage, okay? So this is what we focus on this class, okay? Shock, vibration, and mechanical damage. So we're going to talk a lot about the protect function and how we can deal with it. Obviously, transport as well. We're going to talk about it a lot of time. Inform and sell, not that much, but obviously, design aspect when you need to look at what information you want to do, marketing, and so on. This obviously plays a big role, okay? But again, this is for a different class. So level of packaging, okay? This is the classic example. So there's different level. The primary packaging is the package that is in contact with your product, okay? This is an example of a cereal box. So the bag, okay, the multi-layer bag that holds your cereals and keep them crunchy, hopefully, okay, and is basically the primary package because it's in contact with your product. You have a secondary package, that will be the box itself, and obviously if you had only a bunch of boxes like this, it's not going to be very convenient to load up a truck, okay, and send that to Publix, Walmart, or anything like this, so you need a shipping container usually, okay? So that will be where you're going to group multiple packages together, and the idea is to facilitate handling, okay, and the distribution network. And obviously, at some point, that was it, okay? There was no other level of packaging, so boxes were put into trucks, okay, containers, okay, airplanes, by hand, okay, and I was shipped and then unloaded. So that was a pretty tedious operation. At some point, people realized, okay, what if we put these on skid or pallets, okay? What we call unit loads, okay? That's the next level where we combine these things, okay, and makes it even easier. And basically when pallets started to be used, okay, back in the 80s, okay, so more on a general broad types of uses basically changed a lot of things because it was also difficult to implement because as it is the case with a lot of innovation is no one wants to pay for it, right? Okay, so let's say Walmart says, okay, for first day of 2018, all suppliers need to have their delivery on pallets. Okay, so all the suppliers like, okay, who's going to pay for it? So no one wants to pay for it. So that's why sometimes it's complicated. It takes time for the system to put in place. Once it's in place, everybody benefits from this, and it happens. And the same thing happens with reusable plastic containers that we're going to talk about a bit later as well. So in a nutshell, okay, these are the main functions of packaging. Again, there might be additional ones, but these are the main ones. We're going to focus, obviously, on protect and transport in this class, and the different level of packaging as well. So it's good to know a little bit about it. So distribution and transport packaging. What is it? Okay. So a few definitions here, and as you will see as well, again, if you have me in a different class, you'll see that I tend to highlight a few things in colors in my slides. These are a good source of question. Obviously, your slides are black and white. If you go on Canvas, you'll have the PDF version. Okay. But yeah, if you have different colors, typically it's important. Okay. So distribution and transport packaging describes technical packaging functions that provide product protection and facilitate safe and cost-effective product distribution. Okay, that's standard definition. You're not going to have to remember that. It's just understand what it is. Okay, so that type of packaging, distribution and transport packaging, okay, must account for all movement of the product. This is very important. From the point of origin to the point of final consumption, which is in people's house, okay? It includes all intermediate operation, okay? That includes such cooling or warehousing, any of this, okay, needs to be included. So a lot of products don't need to be cooled, but a lot do, okay? Temperature management is a very important issue with, for example, food products, pharmaceuticals, and so on. So the thing also, this is the tricky part, okay, is that it's nice, but once the product is there and it's put in a box, okay, and then you have to put it in another box, and put it on a pallet, okay, it does not add any value to your product, okay, that's true, okay. What it does, it rather intend to conserve it. That's the goal of distribution and transport packaging, okay, it's to conserve your product, its quality, okay, its integrity, and make sure it is going to the distribution chain, hopefully unharmed. And because it does not add value to the product, what do you think happens?
Price goes up.
Yeah, the price increases, but the thing is, no one wants to pay for it, right? Okay, they don't see the value. Okay, at first. So we're going to see about it, but there's going to be repercussions. Okay, if you don't have good distribution and transport packaging, there's going to be losses. Okay, you're going to have damage. But particularly if you're dealing with a company that is maybe smaller or does not have a large packaging engineering department, or packaging is not a focus, it's more an afterthought, okay, that's what happens. People don't want to pay money to package their product. So packaging engineering, okay, for distribution and transport requires what it says, what's called a system approach. It must be considered as an integrated activity. So to be successful, actually, you can add more of these, okay, but you need to think of packaging not as afterthought when the product is designed and at some point says, okay, we need to ship it. Okay, you need to think about it, okay, when the product is actually designed, okay, you need to have input from manufacturing, warehousing, okay, distribution as well, transport, retailing, okay, and the consumer itself. You need to take into account all of this. You can also add R&D, you could add like any types of filling operation, and as we talked about as well, you can also add something about the end of life. How is that thing going to be recycled, reused, okay, and so on. But the thing is, this is a little bit of a utopia. It's hard to find a company that are really going to integrate packaging design through all of their operation. But that's what should be done, okay? So I'm going to try to have some pictures, show you some pictures of actually a quick project that didn't go very well, but John was involved with it a little bit. But we had a company that wanted to ship one of their products, okay? It actually came to us because they had damage. Okay, they tried to ship a few and they were breaking, parts were breaking up and everything like this. But that was the perfect example of, obviously, it's a small company, but they designed a great product, okay, but they never thought about shipping it, okay, ever, okay. And it was a big issue because it's a big product, okay, a lot of money involved into shipping. And when you ship this, okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, pretty small, you can fit that easily. But if you ship something that big that weighs more than 100 pounds, then you start thinking about it. And they had damage. And the first few things we talked about, we asked them questions that the part that we're breaking, kind of obvious is going to break. So why is it like this? Why don't you change it for shipping? Does it look cool? Okay? But this is not a good answer, right? Because it may look cool, but if it's unfeasible to ship a product like this, what you're going to get is a lot of damage, okay? And think about you, the consumer. Let's say you buy one of these things, okay? You pay, I don't know, more than $1,000 for it, and it arrives and it's broken. It doesn't look good, right? And if you order the second one, it's broken again. It's not going to be good as well. It may look cool, okay? Yes.
What was it made out of? Do you know?
It was metal and plastic, but the parts were plastic. I'm going to ask permission to show pictures. Okay? And I'll try to show that to you. So that's one thing. So product design, you need to think about it when you design your product. How are you going to ship it? Okay? Manufacturing, obviously, it's kind of goes hand in hand with it. Warehousing, it's important because, in those big warehouses, you have racking system, as we will see, okay? It needs to fit in there, okay? That's important. Distribution, okay? You need to think about how is it going to go by truck, air, boat, okay, rail, so on. Retailing also is important because, obviously, this was an example of a big thing, but whatever size of package you're dealing with, okay, it needs to fit in the retail environment, okay? Is it going to be in standard display? Is it going to be hanging? Is it going to be... All of these are part of the design that needs to play a role in there. And the consumer as well, in a way, how it's going to be handled, how it's going to handle it, store it, open it, and all these things. It needs to be thought. So, these slides are actually kind of the essence of what we're going to do in this class. They're very important, okay? And the part in the question, the statement, I should say, in orange there, is very, very important. There's two main statements we're going to see today. The first one is, okay, when you go to product design and characteristics for your distribution and transport packaging system, first thing you need to do, okay, is you need to know your product, okay? Whatever you're going to package, you need to know about it. What does that mean, okay, is first you need to know, for example, and there's more of these, okay, but compression, okay? What is the safe working load of that product? Can it bear some weight? Can you stack many of them on top of each other? Okay, this is an example of something that is important. Shock. Okay, so this relates to the fragility of your product. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but let's say you have an unpackaged product. What is the critical drop height and acceleration level that your product can sustain without being damaged? That is very important. And as we'll see, I need to look quickly here. The thing that is sometimes tricky, okay, is the fact that the end use of your product, okay, and the requirements for the end use of your product and the requirements to be able to survive the distribution environment are sometimes quite conflicting, okay? Example, okay? Let's say you can think of your flat screen TV, okay? So that product, when it's designed, okay, it's designed to sit, okay, on a table or be hung on a wall, okay? And that's it, okay? It's not going to be, okay, banged on, okay? Or it's not going to be dropped, usually, okay, during its use, okay? It's going to be sitting there, and if you have kids maybe video games when you have to swing things, you may have a remote going in there, or so it's going to be pretty unique. But other than that, there's nothing bad about it. But the thing is, if you have to ship that thing, you have to think of a lot of issues that can happen. partially those large panels, they can vibrate, right? Okay, they can be broken, okay? All of these things. So you need to know, it's sad to say, but if you want to be successful at this and design that good TV and it's going to be able to survive, you're going to have to break a few of them and test them and see what failure happens when you expose them to different condition of drop. Vibration, what are the key natural frequencies? So we're going to spend a lot of time on this as well. And in natural frequency, I'm going to read that term quite a lot along the semester, is really a physical characteristic of your system, okay? In a way, like it's tied to, as we will see, some stiffness and other characteristic and the mass of your product, but different components will have different natural frequencies. That means they're going to get excited, okay? And they're going to be having quite a strong response when exposed to different vibration and distribution environment. So knowing what are the key frequencies that may cause problems, which are the natural frequencies, are very important. So usually you're going to take a product and you're going to shake it, okay, to be able to find what are these frequencies. I'm going to show you in the lab a little bit later. We have a vibration table that allows us to do this. Temperature, what are the maximum or lower temperature that your product can sustain is important. Humidity is the same thing, it's not an issue. Pressure, okay, that can play a big role. A funny example about pressure was back in the days I was still in Canada, but they were shipping things in the remote community in the Arctic, okay, and it was done in unpressurized plane, okay, and one of the issues was, you've seen that fluff stuff, what does it look like, it's marshmallow? So what is in that product? It's sugar and air, right? There's a lot of air. And what do you think happens if you lower the pressure? It expands, okay? And you have that sticky stuff everywhere, okay? So effective pressure, and that can happen in airplanes, but also just going over the Rockies, okay? If you have very high altitude, you'll see air pressure effect that can play a role. It can play a role of this. That's a funny example with the fluff, but other systems, for example, pouches, okay, that are sealed. You can think of pouches, for example, for medical devices. This is very important. You have to test for this because if those pouches expand, you don't want any ruptures in any seals, okay? Because if there's a rupture in the seal, then it's a pathway to contamination, okay? And you don't play with contamination in medical device. That's a big issue. Time. Obviously, if your product has a shelf life, a lot of food products, pharmaceutical, have a shelf life, meaning a time where the product is actually consumable, okay? Or a consumable is really more shelf life. Market life may be another thing that is a little bit different, but that's important. And also, more and more these days, what we see, okay, we actually running tests right now in the lab on the product that Dr. Welch is conducting, is a lot of food service, right, that sell you like either ready-to-eat meal or they will send you all the ingredients, the proteins, the veggies, and everything, and when you receive the box, you have to start cooking, right? But you have to ship all of these. You need to maintain the temperature in those shippers, right, in those boxes. So along with the packaging system, maintain the temperature is also something very important depending on the condition. Electrostatics might be another one. So all of these, okay, are examples. It can be more of factors that sometimes you need to think, okay, to really know your product, okay, what your packaging system needs to basically play a role with as well. So obviously your goal for product packaging, we talked a little bit about this, but obviously you need to contain, protect, performance of your package as well as good. Communication, okay, on handling or communication on selling, marketing, it can be one, okay, even at the distribution and transport level. Ease of handling and storage, okay, so you need some handles on that box, okay, that would be something depending on the size and so on. It's going to be able to handle by one person, two people, things like this. Shipping effectiveness, you can think about utilization. So how does that fit on a pallet? How does that fit in a truck? So sometimes a few, like less than an inch, can make a big change, okay? Because that may change how many layers you put on a pallet, and that can also change, like maybe many boxes less or more you can put on a truck, okay? Which may not seem a big deal first, but when you ship, hundreds of trucks every year or thousands of trucks of that product, that becomes an important factor. Obviously, I guess we can go through this, but so in the product packaging, it's also important to identify different components. Obviously, as we will see, the shipping container itself, okay, its design, its sizes, okay, all the interior packaging, okay, that can be. So it depends as well. Some product are packaged at the manufacturing facility and there's nothing else. But more and more as well, we have package, for example, that comes from Amazon or other online retailers where interior packaging plays a role, either cushioning material that you have those air pillows, bubble wrap, other types of paper filling, all of these things you need to think about it, okay? Just the closure of your boxes as well needs to be thought about, so labeling. And labor is important, and that's linked to a lot of these things, okay? Because if you have a manual operation or automated, that will change, but the labor required to package your product, okay? Basically, if you have many components, if it's a complex packaging system, okay, you're going to need a lot of labor. The more labor you use, it's cost, okay? It's money, okay? So design a package, keeping it simple, okay, is very important. So cold source phase change material, PCM. So that is also very important for shipment of drugs, pharmaceutical, but as I just mentioned, more and more for food product that are delivered directly to the consumer, like these Blue Apron, HelloFresh, and all these companies that sell those products, okay? So you need some cold sources, okay? And a lot of these boxes, you need a lot of components, and you need to have a protocol to package them well and make sure it works efficiently. So this is very important, okay, to think about these things. And again, today, through that introduction, the series of slides for introduction, we talk about a lot of things, okay? It's okay, you don't have to remember all of these. I'm trying to give you an overview of a lot of things. We're going to go a little bit more in details as we progress, but trying to at least open your mind and start thinking about all of these different things, okay, that are important and plays a role. So, and here you might not be able to read here on your slide, but it says seasonal trends of product shipping damage on all major products, okay, from ISTA, International Safe Transit Association. Okay, you're going to hear that in an organization quite a lot. So, what do you think happens here? So you have the first 3 months of the year, so December to February, March to May, June to August, September, October. So why do we see that cycle? What do you think is the issue here? Yes.
Something to do like it being hot, like heat damage.
Okay. Obviously you point out summer is heat. What else is associated with summer? Yes. Humidity. Okay.
I was gonna say there's no like major seasonal thing going on at the time. Like Christmas, you would want to make sure that everything that you're shipping is like not damaged. Whereas summer, it's like doesn't really matter too much.
Okay, that's an interesting point, but
I know.
yeah. But humidity is the key here. Okay, heat may play a role. Okay, obviously it's linked a little bit to the pattern, but a lot, I would say most products are shipped in paper-based material, corrugated boxes. Okay, in the summer you have high humidity. Okay, and what happens with humidity? Okay, it affects the strength of your box. Okay, quite a lot. So you can easily lose 40 to 60% of the strength of your box when you expose it to high humidity. And in addition to this, you know what happens is that humidity, okay, is an additional weight, okay, through all these boxes. So you have more weight, okay, and the boxes are weaker. So what happens is damage is usually more frequent in these months, okay. So, leading to the next important statement is you need to know your product, but you also need to know the environment, okay? This is very, very key. So, few things that you need to ask yourself to be able to know your environment. How will the product be handled, okay? So, at some point, okay, it's kind of inevitable that your product is going to be handled manually, okay? That's where a lot of the issue happens, okay? Because we're human, we make mistakes, and sometimes we just don't care, okay? So these boxes will be dropped, tossed, okay, flipped, okay? But manual handling is an issue, and that's one thing that we always test for when we design a package, okay? So is it going to be conveyors? Is it going to be forklifts, okay? That will depend on the country as well you're dealing with, okay, as we'll see a little bit later. So that one aspect can be hand cart, again, forklift, and so on. How would the product be handled? That's important. How would it be stored? Okay, so is it going to be in any type of temperature control? Is it going to be on racking systems, on pallets, directly on the floor? All of these things going to be stacked. Okay, that would be important. How would it be transported? Obviously, there's no way, almost no way to go around any types of road transportation at some point. Okay, so it's going to go on the road. It's going to be by air as well, rail, boat. All of these things will be important. How high would it be stacked? Would it be column or cross stacked? Okay, so height is important. Column or cross stacked. Let me switch quickly to the next slide just to show you what I mean by column or cross stacked here. This is actually a little bit of a hybrid configuration. Okay, these are tomatoes. But what you see, if you are able to notice from the back, but from the bottom of the pallet all the way to here, we have what's called column stack. You see all the boxes, you see the line, they're all in line. And when you come here, you see this is cross stacked. Okay? Sometimes you will have pallet that will be all column stacked, and sometimes you have pallet that will be all cross stacked. This one is kind of a hybrid. So what do you think are the benefits of one and the other? For example, let's start with column stacking. What do you think would be the benefit of using that method of stacking?
It's easy to do and quick.
Easy to do, that's right. If you always have the same pattern, that's one.
Most space efficient.
If you have the same amount of box, it will be pretty much the same efficiency in that case. What else?
More stable.
Is it going to be more stable? Think about when you were a little bit younger, and it's okay if you don't want to admit it and saying you're still playing with Lego blocks. I had the kids, so now I can play with Lego blocks as much as I want. But if you want to try to make something stable, if you just stack the Lego blocks on top of each other, is it going to be better? What do you do to make it? You cross stack them, right? To make it more solid. So that's one of the issue is with column stack. Okay, if you go around turns, okay, it's not very stable. So let me ask you this. Let's say I have one corrugated box here, and I ask you, okay, to step on it, okay, and try to keep your weight, okay, on this end, stand on it. Where would you put your feet? Let's say it's empty. On the corners. Why? That's where the strength of the box is, right? In those corners. So stacking it column stacked, okay, you have corner on corner. Okay, so that's where you have the most strength in your stack. Okay, it's not going to be stable, but it's going to be a lot of strength. You can put a lot of weight, and that box at the bottom here, okay, has to weigh a lot of weight because these are, if I remember, 35-pound box of tomatoes. Okay, so there's a lot of weight on these boxes at the end, and actually they were actually a little bit. I'll show you a little bit later. Pretty cool boxes as far as boxes go, but cross stacking at the top here will help with the balance, okay, and the integrity of the load. So combining those two, okay, helps in this case. So column and cross stack is here, and these you see, these were bended because we had to open these boxes and put temperature sensors in there. So we had to do that to make sure they were stable. And in addition to all of these in that shipment, they actually glued all boxes together. So it was all mechanically stacked on a pallet, but each box has a little bit of glue on top of each other, so it holds together. In addition to this, yes,
You say cross cross
cross stack.
is more stable.
Yes,
Is that
because it interlocks together. So I'm going to turn on the lights a little bit here. So I don't know if you're all going to see, but these boxes, in addition to that, because there was so much weight, the box, if you have a top view of the box, you have the corrugate, you also have a little feature like this in each corner, okay? Basically, this is kind of a triangular cylinder, okay, to give even more strength to those boxes because of all the weight they were being sustained, as they were supporting. So these were, that's what I was saying, they were pretty good boxes. But, so yeah, how it would be stacked would be important. And again, what temperature, relative humidity, pressure, range will the product be exposed to during that in the environment will play a role. So again, you need to know what are the limits of your product itself, and then what the package is going to be exposed to, okay, during the environment. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but this is just to give you like basic hazards and typical circumstances. Obviously, shocks, where you're going to see that drops during manual handling, package thrown, conveyor, vehicle shock. So just think about a car hitting a pothole or something like this. Okay, you're going to have shock events during distribution and transport. You also have different shock. For example, in the rail, if you have couplings of two wagons together, you're going to get an impact. Vibration, so you have obviously road, okay, suspension, out of balance wheel, all of these things will cause different vibration. Static and dynamic compression, okay, static compression is more during warehousing. Environment bracing the load, okay, in a trailer or things like this. Dynamic compression has to do with the vibration, right? When you go on the road and you have a pallet of things, if you have vibration, you're going to have dynamic compression happening. Piercing and puncturing, that happens all the time by a nail sticking out of the pallet, okay? The forklift operator going too fast, okay, and just going to a box with the tying of this forklift, okay? So things like this happen. Uneven support, and all of these you can go through this. Extreme temperature, we're going to talk about it quite a lot. Low pressure, we already give some example of this. Light is important in some product, okay? Beer is one example, okay? Doesn't like to be exposed to light. Moisture level, we talked about this. Rain with the humidity, condensation. Biological hazards, okay? Okay, so these are examples. So we know at this point that with all the hazards, okay, things are going to happen. You're going to have losses and damage. So it is very important, as much as we can, to analyze what happened during an event. So to do that, communication and documentation of the events are key. They are very important, okay? So if you have a good system in place, that if you have damage, okay, if you have a claim or something is broken, that you have somebody that knows what to do, take pictures, document the event, and file it in a way that can be accessed, okay? So try not to cheat, okay, here. But what question should we ask after a distribution and transport loss event? Let's say you're in charge, okay, and one of your distribution center, a different city calls you and said, okay, we received a load here and we have like 5 boxes, okay, that were damaged. So what should you ask that person? Yes?
How, in what way are they damaged?
Yeah, so what kind of damage, okay, location, things like this. What else? Yes?
Is it like a human error, or is it because like packaging in the transport was damaged?
Okay, so kind of try to find the cause.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Yes.
Has this happened before?
That's very good. Okay. Have you seen those damaged before? Is it the first time we see this. Okay, and that's where this plays a big role. Okay, what else can you come up with? Stuff like yes.
If it's the first time happening, why is it happening?
Okay, yeah. Did we change something? Okay, that's something. So I'm gonna. You can think of a lot, but some of you may have read a bit. But the recent problem. Okay, have we seen that before? We already have this. So we can think about just the location. Is that a specific location on the pallet? Okay, specific location in the truck. Okay. Does it only happen at specific? I'm changing the premise of the story here. Okay, but let's say, is it like one city, or we see that widespread? Okay, is it particular location or during specific season? We've talked about some effect of season. It might be large volume during the holiday season, as Kurt was mentioning. That can play a role. It can be the environment, our humidity during the summer. Okay. Has something changed in the way we package and distribute? Okay. So do we have a new equipment that package our product? Do you have somebody new that's in charge of any aspect? Do you have a new supplier? Did we change suppliers for a box or for a stretch wrap or something like this? Okay. And that's important. What are the costs associated with that loss? Okay. Because one thing you will have to realize as we go through this, okay, we have to live with losses. Okay. So unless you're shipping like a multi-million-dollar equipment that just can't be damaged, okay, a lot of the things you're going to accept that sometimes it's going to happen as damage, okay, because as we'll see is that to prevent any damage is not going to be realistic. It's going to cost too much money, okay. So it's a fine balance you have to find through all of this. And there's other questions you can think of, okay, but that's just some of them. So what are the impact of a loss? And obviously we have money, but just to put that into perspective, okay, that's an interesting exercise. It's pretty simplistic, but it's interesting. So when you take into account all materials, salaries, overhead, everything's been paid, okay, so a product loss, okay, you can think of it as you have to subtract it from your profit, okay. Let's say you have a net profit of 5%. So if you lost $500 of product, okay, through claims, that means you need to sell 10,000 more. You have to have 10,000 more in sales to make up for that loss, okay? That's significant, right? Okay? And in addition to that, okay, that's one thing, you have a broken product, okay? You replace it. But there's also hidden costs and damage reaction associated with this. And it's estimated by some companies at about 5 times higher than the cost of the cargo repair or replacement as well. So that means, what are these hidden things, okay? It can be you, the consumer, okay? Let's say you order something, it's damaged. The effect on your company, okay? If the consumer is going to buy it again, is it going to recommend it to his friend? Social media now, it goes fast. If you have a bad experience, you post it online, you never know what's going to happen. It can go, if it's pretty funny or pretty unusual, it can go viral. And that can damage your brand and your company quite a lot. So, so these things are important, okay, to think about in addition to just the simple damage. So, money obviously is invested in distribution, packaging to avoid loss. That's why you pay for it, to preserve the quality and the integrity of your product. Okay, so any type of loss due to inadequate packaging should be accounted as a packaging cost as well. Okay? So, the thing is, as you understand, is if you increase the cost of your packaging system, it will increase the protection and reduce loss during the distribution. But you need to find a balance between the two. Okay? So this is kind of, again, a simplistic example. Okay? But let's say this is damage cost in parallel with packaging cost. So if you have very poor or very little packaging, you're going to have a lot of damage, okay? If you have very good packaging, okay, you're going to have very little damage. But both of these options are going to be more costly than finding a balance, okay? So it depends on your product, okay? It depends on a lot of factors, the size, how many product, and again, the image of the company itself, and all of these things, okay, plays a role. But you have to find a balance. And the idea here is that, you know, spending a ton of money on packaging, okay, to reduce or completely remove damage is not realistic, okay, as an option. And this is the last slide for today, okay? This is other simplistic thing, but the idea, this is something that comes from ISTA, so the International Safe Transit Association, okay, is that the combination of your product, remember you need to know the product, you need to know the environment, okay, to design, and the combination of the protection from the packaging system and the characteristic of your product together must account or equilibrate with the environmental hazards, okay? So if the two together, okay, are under design here, you're going to have damage, okay? So you have two options, okay? Either you change your product or you play with your packaging, okay? And that's what I was talking a little bit later. If your product is so fragile, okay, it may be a big mistake, okay, because the packaging costs are going to be through the roof to be able to meet the intensity of the distribution environment. So the ideal is really to get an optimized design where, okay, there will be variation in those habits. You need to understand this. There will be some variation, it can be higher and lower, but the idea is to really kind of right at the threshold where you're going to be having some damage, okay, that you're going to be able to live with, okay, it's going to make sense, it's going to be rational with the operation, but you cannot over-design, because if you do over-design, what happens here is that you consistently pay for protection, for shipping things, okay? For buying and shipping things that you don't need, okay? And again, if you have small margins of profit, okay, and you're working on volume, this is a big deal, okay? So I'm going to stop here for today. This is really a large introduction to the class. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you.